Three, two, one. Greetings, dear colleagues, candidates, and the public. Today, on January 16, 2025, the advisory group of experts has gathered in full force and effect to interview the candidate for the position of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, Taras Tsymbalistyi. In particular, all 6 members of the AG are present. AG Secretary, Madam Maureen O'Connor, AG members, Madam Hanna Suchocka, as well as Mr. Vasil Shakun, Mr. Yaroslav Romanyuk, and Mr. Aleš Zeller. Present during the interview are 5 deputy members of the AG: Mr. Volodymyr Kuzmenko, Mr. Vitaly Machinchuk, and Mr. Richard Barrett. I would like to know that we are working in a shelter, so in case of an air raid, the interviews will continue without interruption. I would also like to remind you that the interview is being recorded and will be broadcast live on the AG's resources and the Constitutional Court of Ukraine website. I would like to draw the attention that the interview is being recorded. I would also like to draw the attention of the AG members and the candidate to limit the use of sensitive data and restricted information during the live broadcast. If it is necessary to discuss such issues, the AG will limit the broadcast for this time. We are ready to begin, so I will now hand the floor over to AG Secretary, Madam Maureen O'Connor, for a brief introduction of the candidate and a reminder of the interview process. Please, Maureen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome and good afternoon, dear colleagues and the public who is watching us this afternoon. As our chair has already said, the advisory group of experts will now conduct an interview with the candidate Taras Tsymbalistyi. I would like to remind you that this interview, the opportunity for a candidate to interview, is a mandatory stage in the assessment of candidates as part of the evaluation of their compliance with the criterion of high moral qualities. Each interview will take approximately 1 hour maximum, and the time limit for answering the question of the candidate's time limit is up to 3 minutes. Traditionally, we ask all candidates to be concise, to answer the questions clearly, unambiguously, and to the point. At the end of the interview, the candidate may make a short closing statement of up to 5 minutes. I would also like to note that while processing the materials of candidate Tsymbalistyi, the AGE sent him questions for written explanations so the candidate had the opportunity to prepare and provide answers. So now we have with us a candidate for the position of Judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, Taras Tsymbalistyi, who was admitted to the competitive selection by both the Verkhovna Rada Committee and the Competition Commission under the President of Ukraine. Mr. Tsymbalistyi has been working at the Prosecutor General's office since 2020 and since January 4th, 2024, and is currently a prosecutor of the Division for the Organization of Representation of the State's Interest in the Field of State and Communal Property of the 2nd Directorate of the Department for Representation of the State's Interest in Court of the Prosecutor General's Office. In February 10th, 1999, the candidate was awarded the degree of Candidate of Legal Sciences. The title of the dissertation was Constitutional and Legal Status of the State Border of Ukraine. On October 3rd, 2008, the candidate was registered with the Bar Council of Ternopil region. The advocacy activity has been suspended since December 29, 2015, according to the statement of the advocate dated December 29, 2015. In addition, I would like to remind you that Taras Tsymbalistyi already took part in the competitive selection last year and was interviewed by the advisory group of experts. Mr. Tsymbalistyi, if you would like to add anything to your credentials that you feel is necessary, you may do so now within 2 to 3 minutes.
No, thank you.
We'll start then. Okay, as I mentioned, you've already participated in the competition and were interviewed by the AGE last March. As a result, we recognized you as meeting the criterion of high moral qualities for the purposes of the competition for position of the Constitutional Court judge. Do you confirm all the answers that you have previously provided to the AGE during the competition?
Так, підтверджую.
Yes, I do.
Would you like to provide additional information and supplement your written or oral answers that you have provided during this previous competition?
Ні, дякую.
No, thank you.
What is your motivation to reapply for the competition for the position of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine under the quota from the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine?
I would like to begin with saying that for almost 30 years, I have been working in this sphere, and constitutional right of Ukraine is the field of my scientific interest. For more than 20 years, I have been working on the matters of constitutional jurisdiction. In 2007, I was the author of the first Ukrainian guidelines on constitution. The majority of my scientific work is devoted to constitutional justice. In 2020, I decided to participate in the competition in the reformed Office of Prosecutors. I participated in this competition and I got the position at the General Prosecutor's Office. However, the sphere of constitutional law still remains dominant among my interests. That is why I confirm my intention, described in my motivational letter, to participate in the competition for the position of the judge at the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. My motivation remains the same, and despite the fact that in the first competition where I participated, unfortunately, I did not pass the second stage, I also paid attention to the advice of DG as well as AG, as well as encouragement to participate in the next competitions. So, taking into account these circumstances, I decided to apply to participate in this competition.
Much. Mr. Yaroslav?
Taras Olegovich, during the previous interview, you have also commented on circumstances that were pointed out by the AG. When learning your portfolio through the prism of meeting the criteria of high moral qualities that are required for the position of the Judge of Constitutional Court of Ukraine, however, after your application to this competition, we conducted another analysis of your biography, and now we would like to ask several questions. Namely, in September 2023, the Ternopil City District Court considered the case at the request of Ternopil Limited Liability Company to issue court order to recover from Taras Tsymbalistyi the debt for the services provided for household waste management. The sum was not as significant. It was in the amount of 3,300 hryvnias, which is approximately $70 according to the current currency exchange. Could you please explain how did this happen? That the utility company had to turn to the city district court and then involve state enforcement services to collect the payment. Could you explain the reason for the situation, and could you elaborate on the current state of the situation, whether you paid the debt? Thank you for this question. First of all, I would like to say that I always pay my bills in a timely manner. And the situation that the question concerns is quite weird for me because for quite a long time the services were provided by a private company, Our Home. I had the contract signed with them and I paid their services according to this contract. In 2020, as I have mentioned, after the successful participation in the competition, I moved from Ternopil to Kiev. That is why in Ternopil I did not live anymore. Also, the contract with this utility company was not signed. And after clarifying this information with the mentioned limited liability company, I was able to learn that there is a court decision regarding this debt in the amount of 3,300 hryvnias. Understanding the lack of grounds for such decisions and lack of grounds for calculating the sum, since I did not have any contract with this utility company, I decided to pay attention to several aspects. First of all, I understood that the sum is relatively insignificant. Secondly, I considered the opportunities to apply for the cancellation of the decision. For me, it was also important to take into account my workload and to save up time when resolving this issue. That is why I decided not to appeal to the court to cancel the decision, though obviously I understand that there were no grounds for such calculation, and I believe that I could prove that this claim was not based on any legal grounds. However, I decided to pay this sum, and if you allow me to elaborate a bit more on the resolution, on October 11th, 2023, the utility company sent their request to the state enforcement services, and then they sent the request to cancel their initial request. They informed that there was no more debt and there is no more issue with me paying this debt. However, even though the second request was sent on the 11th of October, on 27th of October, the state enforcement services did not process the cancellation request and they opened an enforcement proceeding. However, this debt was already paid. You also told us that you do not live in this house. Does anyone else live there? No, I do not live there, no one else lives there. So practically, there was no service of collecting the garbage. Yes, that's correct. You explained that your goal in the past 20 years was to study the problems of constitutional jurisdiction. We also know that you are a participant of another competition. You applied for the competition to the position at the appeal court, and you have quite a successful track in this competition, namely the stage of cognitive abilities was quite successful for you. What is your priority? Do you want to become the judge of a general jurisdiction, or do you want to become a judge at the Constitutional Court? Or are you satisfied with your current position at the General Prosecutor's Office? Thank you for the question. As I have already mentioned, and I will gladly repeat, I have joined the General Prosecutor's Office relatively recently, and I am not quite used to the system of the prosecutor's office. I'm a new face there, and only at the beginning of the reform at the General Prosecutor's Office, I decided to participate in the competition for the position there. I understand this, but now you have two competitions. What is your priority here? My parallel participation in the competition for the position of a judge at the appeal court can be explained the following way. Obviously, my goal and my dream is to become the judge of the Constitutional Court. However, I do understand that there are a lot of honored candidates who successfully pass first, second stages. I understand that the subject of appointment will be selected from the candidates that will be advised by the AGE, and there will be more candidates than the openings. These are the requirements of the law. That is why I am not sure that I will get this position. At the same time, the competition in the appeal court was announced in September 2023, and I believed that I should take part in this competition, since in the process of judicial reform and taking into account my previous working experience, I had the background to offer my candidacy to the state in case if I am able to pass this competition successfully as well. However, my ultimate priority is to become a judge of the Constitutional Court. And my background, my professional development is the proof for this. So in this case, my participation in the competition for the position at the appeal court is obviously important for me. However, it takes the second place in the list of my priorities. Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Dear colleagues, any other questions to the candidate? I have a little question. Have you finished constructing your house? Thank you. Unfortunately, no. As I have mentioned, in 2020 we moved to Kyiv. Back then, the house was far from being finalized. We didn't have the opportunity to finish the repairings quickly. The construction lasted for 8 years, and due to lack of sufficient funds, we were not able to finish the construction, even though we really wanted. So right now my situation is the same as in 2020. I go there from time to time, but now I live in Kyiv and I work in Kyiv. And the fate, my destiny is yet to be defined. In Kyiv, I live in an apartment that belongs to my son. So your son purchased this apartment? Yes. What is the cost of the apartment? The cost of the apartment is 2,194,000, with the area 66 square meters. This apartment is located in the old building constructed in 1977. So this is a typical Soviet 9-story building, not a very comfortable property, but we are able to live there without paying the rent in Kyiv. Did your son purchase the apartment using his own funds? He purchased the apartment using the savings that he received from me and my wife, and he spent these savings to purchase this apartment. He earns his own money, but he was far from purchasing his own apartment, so we help him. Well, 2 million is quite a sum of money. Could you explain the origin of these funds? Sure.
Yes, I can. So, also on the stage of emailing during the first even round, and I have provided it. This is the table that I have provided to the advisory group, and this is, the segregation of the income by years. And also in foreign currency, the same amount, and in totality, during the years of my working as of 1997, we managed to save up enough in order to be able to gift it in 2022 in summer to our son to purchase this apartment. I see. Thank you. Thank you. Dear colleagues, are there any further questions for the candidate? If there are no further questions, then Taras Olehovich, you may make a short closing statement up to 5 minutes. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the Defense Forces of Ukraine, thanks to whom we can sit here, talk, communicate, and have this competition. I would like to thank you, dear members and deputy heads of the advisory group of experts, for the attention you dedicate to candidates. It's a very important activity in the process of shaping the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, given the role of this court in the rule of law, in order for Ukraine to become the legal democratic state. So there's no doubt this is very important. Also, I would like to thank you for a tolerant communication in my emails with the advisory group of experts. I tried to be as open as I could. I was providing all information that was known to me. It was also very useful for me because I managed to collect all information about any stage of my life, including the salaries, the property rights, all these things. And I would like to draw your attention to, yes, I am now the work in the office of the Prosecutor General. But it's I don't only work on that, because I have been studying the constitutional law matters for 20 years, and I think that the prosecution is one of such legal institutes. The task of the prosecution and the Constitutional Court and the general jurisdiction judges lie in providing the rule of law, enforcing rule of law. So being in the position of the prosecutor in the Prosecutor General office, I think that I have the direct relation to the system that maybe on a completely different level, but is covered by the activity of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. I would also like to draw your attention to my professional path being special, because it enabled me to combine experience of me as a pedagogue, scientist, lawyer, and now prosecutor. In my opinion, a combination of such spheres, fields, knowledge, and skills, and this type of experience could be beneficial for the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. Given the competence of the CCU, given that for many years it has been changing, and now, as we know, the CCU is considering constitutional complaints often related to general jurisdiction matters. That's why I think that having this type of experience in this case characterizes me in a certain way and gives me grounds to hope that this type of experience can be beneficial and useful. So, participating in this competition, I do not only do something that within my interest, not just to prove something to myself. When I participated in the competition to the prosecution agency in 2020, I did it because there was the reform of the prosecution office back then. And right now, I also want to be part of those processes that refer to operation of the CCU, but in the composition that is shaped thanks to this type of procedure that we are now undergoing. I do think that as a result of these type of procedures, little by little, but we will gradually form, shape a new composition of the CCU, and then we'll have this opportunity to see another quality of the CCU activity. I'm not saying that it's bad now or poor, but I'm saying that of course there's space for improvement. So I'm thanking you for your attention. I'm wishing you a successful completion of the competition procedures, and I hope to meet you during stage 2. Thank you. Thank you, Taras Salahovich, for your answers. Dear colleagues, the public, I hereby declare the interview for the position of the Judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, Taras Tsymbalistyi, to be completed.